Indie and retro gaming fans, have I got the game for you today. For fans of SneakyBox and their work on Black Widow Recharged and Centipede Recharged, today I'm the ex-hardcore gamer and I'll be talking about Asteroids Recharged. It won't take a rocket scientist to figure out that Asteroids Recharged is a modern remake of the original classic Atari game, Asteroids. Full disclosure for this review, I want people to know that Asteroids is a game that has a very special place in my heart. My grandparents used to have a campground with an arcade in it, and that was one of my most played games that they had. On top of that, I grew up having the game on the Atari 2600, and later on when I got older, I even had the port for the original Nintendo Game Boy. So needless to say, this is not a game I'm going in blind to, as I'm definitely going to have a lot of nostalgia while playing it, and if they were to mess anything up, I'd be the first person to be mad about it. So if you are unfamiliar with the game Asteroids, much like many of the other Atari games that came out in those early video game days, it's a very simple premise. You are in control of a small spaceship that's out in the middle of an asteroid belt. These asteroids start off very large, but as you shoot them, they break apart into smaller ones, and as they progressively get smaller, the points go up. Controls are very simple, with left and right on the analog stick making you rotate, the A button to fire, the Y button doing a hyperspace that jumps you into a random place on the screen as a last-ditch effort to survive, and then the right trigger is to thrust, which, little side note, this game gave a 4-year-old me my first lesson in inertia and momentum. The main game mode has you taking on endless waves of these asteroids as they become faster, larger, and coming in increasing quantities at you. Unlike the original arcade game, you do not have multiple lives, you only have one, so it's all about getting the highest score you can without dying. But thankfully, there are various power-ups that you can collect along the way. So while you're doing your many shootouts with these asteroids, some UFOs will come by. If you destroy them, they'll give you these power-ups, which can include things like a spread shot, rapid fire, or even explosive black hole shots. This can be played both single-player and two-player local co-op, and on top of all of that, it does have online leaderboards, so you can compare your scores with other players out there in the world. So while this is considered the main mode to be able to go for the high scores, there's also the mode that I found myself spending much more time playing, and that was the challenge mode. Challenge mode is exactly what it sounds like. It's a mode that gives you a series of challenges that need to be completed that have varying degrees of difficulty. The nice thing is that not only does this give it more gameplay variety, but each one also has its own leaderboard as well. Just as with the main mode, you can play it both single player or two-player local co-op, and you'll be completing such challenges as being able to survive for a certain amount of time, destroying a certain number of a particular type of enemy, or only being able to use a certain weapon to destroy them. I can already see the comments now about people saying that this looks like a ripoff of Geometry Wars, but just know that Geometry Wars definitely borrowed heavily from the original Asteroids game, so Asteroids Recharged definitely keeps that original visual charm. While the original game was just black and white, with the wireframe graphics being the white on a black background, Asteroids Recharged tries to kind of keep that visual style, but while adding some colors to add more vibrancy to it. You're going to see a few more lines to give a bit more of what you can maybe call detail in the asteroids, and there's a starry background that you have instead of just a pure blackness. But other than that, this modernization isn't too much of an upgrade, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It really keeps that nice old school feel to it. Along with the updated visuals, there is an all-new original score by Megan McDuffee, which I guess could be described best as kind of a synthwave retro kind of style electronic score. I think that the songs all fit the vibe that the game is going for perfectly, as everything is nice and up-tempo and just keeps the adrenaline going while you're playing through your levels. As a huge fan of the original Asteroids game, I have to say that Asteroids Recharged is exactly what I would be looking for in a new game. It adds just enough new features to give it a nice fresh feel without being too drastically different so that people can still feel right at home. On top of that, you have a nice new visual style that still keeps the original feel to it and has enough resolution and frame rate options to keep things nice and smooth. Great music, great gameplay. This is such an easy recommendation, especially at the low price of only $9.99. This Asteroids fan is happy for a new game, but I'm also happy for our indie warriors. Bill T, Christian Cruz, Kevalo, Mitchell Hall, Chris Jackson, Nathan Moore, Adriano Amato, CJR, C. Coyle, Skeptism, Holly, Julian Colbus, Jen Rose, Jesse, CPM, Bunny, JRS the 8th, Ray Lynn, Marky Min, and Dave Harp. I want to give an extra special thanks to you, as always, for all of your support for us here at I Dream of Indie. If anybody else would like to become an indie warrior, all the information is in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, enjoy gaming.